if you're creating an indie game right now, chances are that you're doing great. You're working regularly on the game is playable, and people say it's good. However, somehow, it doesn't finish. Not because you stopped working, but because you always ask yourself the question, what if I add this other feature now that they like the game? What if I do this other one that's gonna make it cooler? After that playtest, I realized we can make this whole new part of the game that's gonna make it the best game in the world. That is the indie debt spiral. And yes, we also fell into it while making Duck Paradox. Duck Paradox started simple. We just made a platform. But then, in some point, we decided, what if we make it a roguelike? Well, if it's gonna be a roguelike, it's gonna need multiple randomized levels. What if, for anyone to get to world 2 or 3, they have to do it through a secret path that they have to uncover while playing many times through the game? What if we, and in the end, we just had extra and extra features that didn't just mean one thing, but a whole new set of things that we had to do to make the game. At that point, the game design document stopped looking like a plan and more like a political manifesto. All of these ideas were very good, but that was the problem. Every idea made the game more interesting and the release date more fictional. As a consequence, we had to postpone the deadline twice. We had a publisher and they were politely asking, when is it gonna be done? And we were politely answering, soon, don't worry, soon. The spiral feels productive. You're not stuck, you're improving things. You're not procrastinating, you are polishing. From the outside, it looks like progress, but from the inside, it feels like you're always busy and nothing is going forward. The worst part is that the game was already fun. It didn't need to become a design thesis to deserve existing. So at some point, we had to admit something. We were not lacking ideas. We were lacking decisions. So we had to do something really unsexy. We decided for a fixed scope. 3 worlds, a defined number of randomized levels for each world, a clear formula to keep the flow of playing the game that we had to test many times until we got it right, and 3 bosses. That's it. Could we do more? Of course. Did we want to do more? Absolutely. But now, we finally knew what version 1.0 meant. And suddenly, a strange thing happened. We could predict a release date, a real one that worked for the whole team and the publisher. Turns out that is very motivating. For this, we had to make very hard cuts. One I can remember right now is that the flowers we have in the game that you can use to go to the other worlds, we're going to have a mini music game. You had to use the control to line up some notes so you can get into the next world. But this was gonna take us a couple of weeks or even up to a month in testing and everything. And we didn't have that time, so we had to cut it. Couldn't have any more excuses for the publisher. So the flowers didn't have their mini game, but the game lived. Once the scope was focused, creativity didn't disappear. It focused. Instead of reinventing new systems every week, we polished and perfected what was there. Instead of reopening big decisions, we refined execution. Progress stopped being theoretical and it started becoming visible. So we finished the game. Duck Paradox got published, and sometime later, we got nominated as Best Game Latin America at Gamescom Latam. Things like this don't happen to games that get stuck in the spiral forever. So the indie dev spiral is not about laziness. It's about avoiding uncomfortable decisions. Structure didn't kill our creativity. It protected it. Because an unfinished masterpiece has exactly 0 layers. So if you are stuck in this spiral right now, I hope this story motivates you to start taking decisions, to find a way to estimate, decide a date, and go finish your game. I have another video that specifically talks about how to do estimations that might help you. And if you want to go much deeper in estimations, planning, and decision making, I cover all of this in my book, Scrum for Indie Game Development Pocketbook, and in my course online called Scrum for Indie Game Development. Talent starts games, but structure finishes them. You're just a visionary. Ended up being very challenging. Best indie manager. He organized our Scrum board. You might not make it in time and it might end up being a mess. Keep a clear communication, but not overloaded. Polish, juice. It's about creating a long-lasting experience for the future.